So this is going to be a quicker one, but I wanted to go over this because I saw a lot of people. I saw your boy Zach talk about this, and I wanted to give a take on this. So Valiant Comics is putting their pencils down. They're not going to be telling any stories. They're not going to be working anything. They're in the middle of stories. They're done. Now, who are Valiant Comics? Well, that's a good question. You probably don't know. Maybe you don't know. You might be new to all this. So the quickest way I can tell you who they are is through Bloodshot. That's the character that Vin Diesel was playing. There was a movie that just came out. That's who Valiant Comics are. So I guess even Paramount is talking about doing a Valiant Comics universe. They're trying to get on the whole universe train. You've got DC Comics, Marvel Comics, all those movies. A little too late, in my opinion, because I think it's only a matter of time until we shift out of comic books. I mean, this happens all the time. We had a sci-fi push before. We've had a Western push. There's trends, and I think we're probably on the downturn of the comic book trend, to be honest, but I could be wrong. The medium, however, is in the worst shape it's ever been. The comic book industry, because of everything going on right now, is probably going to close. It's a sad thing, but you have, I've done several videos on this. Look what they're announcing: New Warriors, Children of the Atom, America Chavez, books that aren't going to sell. Okay, these are all being pushed out in a time when comic books are seen as a luxury. Okay, what am I going to buy? I'm going to buy my bread, or am I going to buy a $4 book starring the New Warriors? Which would you pick? Which would you pick? I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and get that bread. Okay, and it's a scary thing. Comic book shops are in trouble, but the truth is they've been in trouble for a while. Now, maybe there could have been course corrections. There could have been time to say, hey, maybe we should finally step up and kick all of these weirdos out. But that time has passed. Okay, everything is going to accelerate, and I think that the door is going to fall out for these people. And here's the thing. Comic book professionals are nasty. Nasty people who have been trashing fans, calling them istophobes, and pretty much acting like, are you good enough to be my fan? They hate fans. All kinds of stories about how they detest interacting with them at cons, and they see them as rabble and pigs, and they don't like you. They're entitled, they're elite, and they're trash. They're horrible, horrible people, and they should be ashamed of themselves. Well, guess what? They want a truce now. That's a big thing that's been going around. They want peace with all the comic book channels that criticize them. And
my offer is this. Nothing.
I got nothing for you. Nothing for you. Because this is the reality. And this is what's going on. Comic book pros rely on conventions to make the bulk of their money. They make the bulk of their money in Artist Alley and at events and getting invited to cons and so on and so on and so on. Those have all been canceled. They've all been canceled. So that's where the panic really first started. Then we get to the industry itself, which is probably in a really, really bad position. In fact, if all of this stuff carries on and we're down for months, you will see probably 75 to 80% of comic book stores go out of business. And what does that mean? Well, that's a big deal because now Diamond goes out of business. That's who ships and pretty much is like the trucking industry of comic books. Okay? They're not going to make it. And it's very sad, and I don't know what to do about it. I don't think there's any saving it, and I feel bad for everybody that, maybe could have made a course correction, but it's too late. But I don't feel bad for comic book professionals. The ones that have called us all garbage and trash for years, I don't feel bad of them. And by the way, let's see. At this time, when you think you would want to be embracing fans, the editor-in-chief of Valiant Comics, well, she's decided to come out and call all of you entitled. So here's the editor-in-chief, or the senior editor. I think she's co-publisher, so she has another person that she shares power with. Okay? This is the kind of attitude they have when you criticize them And this is a tamer one, but it's relevant because she's head of Valiant Comics. It says, to those people in my feed telling me that comics is a cushy job for the entitled elite, you could not be more wrong. No one pursues comics for some big paycheck. Like so many people in comics, they work multiple jobs at the same time to make ends meet, pushing 60 to 80 hours a week for very little pay, literally breaking their bodies without guaranteed health coverage. The only thing entitled are the fans who treat the people who put their hearts and souls into their work like they owe them. Well, maybe if you made a better product, just a thought, I don't know, maybe if you made a better product, okay, that wasn't extremely political and full of identity politics before story, and you made changes to the comic book industry and decided we're not going to tell fans they're trash for multiple years, people wouldn't see you as entitled elite people. And many of you do go for a big paycheck. The goal is to get that Netflix gig where you'll get that big paycheck. Don't lie. And Finally, if you had just embraced fans, maybe they would be more open to supporting your creative, independent endeavors where you would make that paycheck so you wouldn't have to work 80 hours a week at multiple jobs. But you can't do that because you are entitled elite. You think everybody should bow down to you and kiss your shoe. Because I've always said it and I'll say it again. In the comic book industry and in most of entertainment, to be honest, but in the comic industry, it's the worst. These are D-lister celebrities at best, and they think that they're A-lister celebrities. They think people should see them as rock stars. And that's how it was in the 90s. People did see them as rock stars, but they don't see them as rock stars anymore. People don't even know who the hell they are anymore. And it's not am I good enough for you to be my fan? It's, are you good enough to be my fan? And that's the problem. That's the problem it's always been. So we're at the worst time ever in the comic book industry, but here's the head of Valiant Comics calling you entitled. You're the trash. You're the piece of garbage. You're the scum. You've always been the scum. And that's the problem. That's the problem with the comic book industry. This. So Valiant's done. Don't know what they're going to be doing. Don't know how they're going to be getting by. That's one less revenue source for them. And I guarantee you, in a couple of months, this attitude is going to change. And it's going to be too late. And like Rorschach said, you'll cry out for help. And I'll say, no. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out. Also, take a moment. Make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. There's something going on right now, and they've been unsubscribing people. So just take a second and double check on that and subscribe if you're new.